Welcome back to From the Bench, everybody. As always, it's Eric, and today we're going to look at the top 25 future watches that you're going to be looking for in the brand new 2022-2023 SP Authentics that gets released tomorrow, the 1st of November. There's a lot of these guys. We all know these names or some of these names, but have you looked into them in a while? Maybe they're up, maybe they're down. Are they struggling? Are they exceeding expectations? There's a whole lot of things going on here in some of these guys, these top 25. I did this for the new 2023-24 Series 1 set. You guys seem to love it, so I thought I'd do it again for this. Same thing, these are not from best to worst or anything like that. This is literally how they're marked through the checklist by their numbering. So we're going to go through it. First one, 101. It is Matt Boldy for the Minnesota Wild, the left winger. He's 22 years old. He was the 12th overall pick in the 2019 NHL entry draft, and he's out of Massachusetts. Big 6'2" boy. Last year, 63 points in the NHL, 31 goals, 32 assists. Put up a bunch of those goals when Kirill Kaprizov landed himself on the injury report. And then in the playoffs, 6 games played, only 3 assists. So it kind of fell off. Like a lot of these young guys, and the first time they kind of hit those playoffs, it's a big jump for them. A lot of hype going into them for this year, obviously. You put up 63 points in 81 games in your kind of first full season. People are going to get pretty excited, especially, you get Kirill back, everything else. Maybe you guys can just put a full season together. Maybe he becomes an 80-point guy. He's not too far off. Unfortunately, though, played 2 games so far this year. 1 goal, 1 assist, and then he got hurt. He is supposed to be getting closer to getting back. Maybe means you can get him on a little bit of a cheaper because he hasn't spiked yet this year. But maybe he's also going to have lingering injuries this year. Maybe it's going to be something that bothers him. It's hard to say yet, but that kind of gives you the first look at Matt Boldy. Like I said, I think he's going to be a really good player going forward. Big guy, everything else, has that goal scoring that you kind of want out of him too. But he is injured right now. Next one, talking about big guys, 102 is Owen Power for the Buffalo Sabres. The D-man is 6'6", big kid, 21 years old, and 21 years old this November, and then 2021 first overall pick. He's out of Mississauga, Ontario. 35 games played last year, had 4 goals, 31 assists for 35 points, 4 goals, 31 assists in 79 games played. He had 24 penalty minutes. And some people might, it's not too bad. I like that especially for 79 games played. Rookie D-man, big kid, but penalty minutes, especially with defensemen, I always kind of look at that. Not because necessarily fighting or this and that, but I don't want to see a defenseman that has a bunch of penalties. 24 is fine to me. I don't want to see a bunch of penalties because then that means you're probably maybe getting beat. You're hooking guys when you're not supposed to. You're tripping guys because you got beat. All this kind of stuff. So 24 is fine by me. He's never been a goal scorer. Kind of all through, every level before this. It's kind of the only issue I have. I know he's a first overall pick and everything else, but you gotta have some goals to keep that long-term value typically in a defenseman. Even this year, I did his stats before tonight. But 0 goals, 5 assists in 9 games played. So once again, no goals. Only had 4 goals last year. He was on Spit and Chicklets. He said he tried to work on his shot this year over in the offseason. So far, through 9 or 10 games, hasn't panned out, but it is what it is. Speaking of a guy that hasn't panned out so far yet this year, yikes. 103 in the checklist, Matty Beniers. That is for the Seattle Kraken. Center, Calder winner, 21 years old as of November 5th of this year. And he's a 2021 second overall pick, 6'2", another Massachusetts boy. In his original first season in 10 games, he had 3 goals and 6 assists for 9 points. That wasn't his true rookie year. That was kind of his pre-rookie year. They kind of when they come up at the end of the season. Last year, 80 games played, 24 goals, 33 assists for 57 points. Started off super hot, and then he got super cold at the end of the season. Thought he was going to run away with the Calder, and it kind of got a little close at the end. Playoffs, had 3 goals and 4 assists in 14 games played. So he's half a point per game player in the playoffs. So far this year, 0 goals and 3 assists in 9 games played. He's typically like pretty even for goals and assists all through his junior career and everything else, or all through his like minor before he hit the NHL. He was always kind of like almost a 1-per-1. And he doesn't really take penalties, which is another thing you like to see out of your centers and stuff. Especially this guy's probably been playing top minute line time, and he's probably been playing against some other good players over there. But anyways, overall, as a whole, Kraken have struggled this year. I know I have Grubauer in fantasy, and man, it is not treating me well. So like I said, Mathew Beniers definitely struggling. Definitely on the struggle bus, as the Hockey Card Gong Show podcast would say. But yeah, Mathew Beniers definitely struggling to start off. Kind of his sophomore year. I guess we'll call it a sophomore slump maybe. But yeah, definitely struggling especially for a guy that a lot of people had a lot of hype going into. Number 104, Marco Rossi for the Wild. Minnesota Wild, obviously with Matt Boldy, we're hoping that this guy was going to be the other guy. He's 22 years old, 9th overall pick from 2020. He's 5'9" from Austria, and he was like struggling really hard. He was struggling. Like, they tried to bring him up before, and he was just not doing good. A lot of people were kind of worried about this kid. Obviously he's the 9th overall pick. He's super young, but a lot of people don't have the patience for these guys. So far this year, 9 games played, 3 goals, 1 assist for 4 points. That is way better than he's done before this. So you kind of got to, give the kid a pat on the back. Maybe it's, he's probably playing a little extra time with, guys like Boldy out and everything else. But Marco Rossi, high draft pedigree. You guys know I like that out of a lot of the players that I like to kind of look into if I'm going to put some money into them. But Marco Rossi is there. Next up, 105, Kent Johnson from the Columbus Blue Jackets. Center, 21 years old, 2021 5th overall pick, 6 feet tall. He's a BC boy. 16 goals, 24 assists for 40 points last year in 79 games played with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Kid's got some hands, does the Michigan, all that other fancy stuff that a lot of these kids do nowadays. They're so skilled coming right into the NHL, trying to figure out how to play that full 200-foot game. So far this year in 7 games played for the Columbus Blue Jackets, he has 1 goal and 2 assists for 3 points. So another guy, once again, they're trying to get their feet underneath them right, trying to get this all figured out. But like I said, a lot of these teams kind of struggling to get the kind of the ball rolling on some points, as you'll see a lot in this little exercise. 106, Dylan Holloway for the Edmonton Oilers, left winger, 22 years old, 2020, 14th overall pick, 6'1", out of Calgary, Alberta. Last year, this kid's got a whole lot of hype. I know a lot of his young guns. I've sold his young guns for a decent amount of money and everything else, especially if the graded stuff. I've definitely sold his stuff before. 51 games played last year, 3 goals, 6 assists for 9 points. That's kind of the issue. I'm not going to get into it real deep, but that's kind of the issues with the Oilers. They just don't have any of these young guys that are kind of stepping up for them. 14th overall pick from 2020, put up 9 points in 51 games last year. Not going to cut it. What's really not going to cut it, though, is in 8 games played so far this year, big old goose egg, 0 points. So, I don't know. Once again, kids got to try to figure it out here. That's what the Oilers need. The Oilers need that secondary scoring. They need somebody else to step up. It can't always be McDavid and Draisaitl and Nugent Hopkins. Like, you need those other guys stepping up. Hasn't been the case so far for Dylan Holloway. Another guy that is struggling. It is number 107 on this guy that I was actually pretty high on coming into last year, this year, everything else. It's Lucas Reichel for the Chicago Blackhawks, the left winger, 21 years old, 2020, 17th overall pick, 6 foot tall, out of Germany. I just thought, this kid's going to get chances to probably play with Bedard at some point. I know a lot of people, like his young gun, skyrocketed the night that the Blackhawks got the first overall pick, and obviously Connor Bedard eventually in the draft. Just hasn't happened yet this year. We'll kind of get into it. 23 games played last year with them. He had 15 points, 7 goals, 8 assists. Pretty good for a terrible Chicago Blackhawks team. They kind of realized they didn't really need him. It was just going to be bad hockey, everything else. So they sent him down to the AHL. He had 55 games played total in the AHL last year. 20 goals, 31 assists for 56 points. Kid's good. I had here 21-36, probably his AHL points from the year before. He's always been good. Put up a ton of points. Pretty close to even scoring, not quite. But so far this year, in 9 games played, I know there hasn't gone a whole lot right for the Blackhawks this year, other than a handful of Bedard goals. But 0 points. If you told me he'd have 0 points through 9 games, I would have told you you're crazy. Just hasn't been this kid's MO throughout his career. He's always put up points. Like I said, even last year, 15 points in 23 games, 7 goals, 8 assists, 56 points down in the AHL, which is crazy. That doesn't happen in the AHL. 51 last year in the AHL. That's what it was. 56 games played the year before, 21 goals, 36 assists. So kid's got to turn around, maybe on the cheap, but Lucas Reichel is one of those guys. 108, Jack Quinn for the Buffalo Sabres. 22-year-old, 2020, 8th overall pick, 6'1", out of Ottawa. 75 games played last year. 14 goals, 23 assists, for 37 points. 2021-22, 45 games played, 26 goals, 35 assists, for 61 points. So I always kind of say, see guys put up big numbers in the AHL that never, you don't typically see that, especially for young guys. So to see him be able to do that in the AHL in 2021-22 kind of shows that this kid has kind of what it takes. So far, 0 games played. He had an Achilles injury back in June. It's a 4 to 6 month injury. I think he's getting closer to come back, but you're probably looking at December, I'm assuming, before you get him back. But, Sabres, they have so many good players over there. It's going to be, he's obviously going to get it in the lineup, but, you got JJ Peterka, you go through the list. There's a lot of young talent over there. So see what Jack Quinn can do going forward. First goalie of the list. Just in Series 1, I had 12 goalies, it felt like. Number 113 on the checklist, Lucas Dostal, Ducks goalie. Actually graded a PSA 8 of him not long ago. Good job, Eric. 23 years old, 2018, 85th overall, 6'2", Czech goalie. 23-24 this year. 5 games played, 4 wins, 1 loss, 2.79 goals against average, and 921 save percentage. That's some pretty good numbers for this young guy. In the AHL over 3 seasons, he's always been around that like 915 save percentage, which is kind of what you want to see. Once again, last year was a little bit lower. In the NHL when he played a handful of games and stuff. The big thing with this one, though, is John Gibson, the netminder that's been sitting in Anaheim that feels like forever now. He's 31 years old. John Gibson, 5 games played this year, 1 win, 3 losses, 282 goals against average, and a 902 save percentage. So the goals against average is pretty close, obviously, but the save percentage is definitely, almost it's 921 to 902. So Gibson's just kind of been on the other end of this. Maybe he's just not making the timely saves. Maybe they just play better teams with him in net. Who knows? But kind of just something to see. Both have played 5 games. Dostal having the better record right now, so just something to keep in mind and kind of keep an eye on. Especially some of these teams, if they're struggling, maybe they trade for Gibson. I think Ducks are probably hoping that he starts turning around. But some of these places, they need a veteran goalie. Maybe he gets traded and Dostal makes it a little easier for them to do that, so they can kind of just move on with him going forward. Next up, it's former Moncton Wildcat, number 114 on the checklist, Jordan Spence for the LA Kings. Right shot defenseman, 22-year-old, is a 2019 fourth round pick, 95th overall. He's 5'11". Got him out of Australia, which he is, but he resided in PEI and then eventually drafted to the Moncton Wildcats. I got to watch this guy play in juniors for a couple of years. Kid is good. He's poised with the puck. He knows how to move it. He doesn't get kind of bothered with guys coming in on him. I think this kid could be really good if they give him the shot. I have to wait to see what happens. AHL, 56 games played last year. 4 goals, 41 assists. That's 45 points in 56 games played in the AHL for a defenseman. Kid knows how to move the puck. Just going to put that out there. Always has in juniors. Did for my team that I got to watch him on. I think the kid's good. Little undersized at 5'11", but that's not even super undersized nowadays in this NHL. Probably not going to play for the LA Kings or for the Vegas Golden Knights, but he plays for the LA Kings, so that's good enough for me. So far this year, in 7 games played, started to really kind of turn it on the last little bit, but he's got 2 assists, no goals, but 2 assists so far in 7 games played. He's even struggled a little bit on the points-wise, but like I said, he's getting some opportunities. They had a nice little thing in the preseason with him in the Australia game and stuff like that, so nice to see for Jordan Spence. Another little 5'11" guy, number 115 over on the checklist, Matias Melli, Coyotes left winger, my gold 101 PMG buddy. 23 years old, 2019, a 4th round pick. Also, he was taking 3 picks after Jordan Spence at 98th overall. 5'11", out of Finland. 64 games played last year, had 11 goals, 38 assists. Jeez. And 49 points. This guy is a kind of like a power play specialist. He's out there dishing the puck around, everything else. He's not Michael Carson, who I probably should have put on this list now after last night's hat trick. But so far this year, 8 games played, 1 goal, 5 assists for 6 points. So he's just out there dishing the puck around. It's one of those guys, assists guys don't usually go for crazy amount over time, but it is what it is. Good player though. Like I said, really knows how to get around the ice, knows how to set guys up, has been doing it for a long time. So Matias Melli is there for the Arizona Coyotes. 117, Bobby Brink for the Philadelphia Flyers. The right winger is 22 years old, 2019 34th overall pick. So that's just the very start of the second round. He's 5'8", smaller than even those other guys, out of Minnesota. I kind of said for Series 1 this year, him and Tyson Forster are going to kind of go back and forth for that, those spots. So far, Bobby Brink's played decent. Last year in the AHL, 41 games played, 12 goals, 15 assists for 28 points. He is more of an assist guy, though, throughout his career. Probably just to do with that size and stature and everything else, being a 5'8", but he's more of an assist guy for sure. This year, 8 games played so far for Bobby Brink, which is a great name. Awesome name. 2 goals, 4 assists. So he's put up 6 points in 8 games played. It's better than Matty Beniers. More goals. So Bobby Brink there at 22 years old is up there. Next goalie. Guy I was pretty high on. I can see future watch Auto Black right behind the camera. It is number 119 for the Carolina Hurricanes. It is Pyotr Kochetov. The goalie is 24 years old, 2019 36th overall pick, which is actually a pretty high pick for a goalie. Not everybody's Askarov getting picked with the 11th overall pick. 6'3", out of Russia. I know, couldn't guess with that last name. Got a bunch of stuff here. AHL last year, 26 games played, 17 wins, 6 losses, 3 ties, 903 save percentage, 2.64 save goals against average. Played 24 games last year in the NHL. Went 12-7-5 for that Carolina Hurricanes team. That is really good. And had 909 save percentage and a 2.44 goals against average. So he was playing well last year. Goes this year, is going to start in the AHL. Freddie Anderson goes and gets hurt start of the season. They call the kid up. I'm like, okay, this kid's going to get it. You know, he's figuring this is his chance. He's going to run with it and never give the net back up to anybody over there in Carolina. Not a chance. He had 3 games played. He had 0 wins, 3 losses with an .836 save percentage. I didn't know they could do that in the NHL. And a .433 goals against average in 3 games. Yikes. But has been set down to the AHL. Has 2 wins in 2 games there. .943 save percentage, 1.45 goals against average, and 1 shutout. So essentially gave up 2 goals in 1 game and had a shutout in the other one. I don't know. I thought this kid was going to be good. Just watching him play and his poise and everything else. Once again, hadn't worked out so far this season. But who knows? Like I said, maybe he just has to knock off some of that rust and get into it. 134 in the checklist is Kaden Goloubef from Montreal. The defenseman is 21 years old. 2020 16th overall pick out of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And he is 6'3". So big defenseman. He plays for Montreal. That's why he's got a little bit of market. That's probably why he's on this list. He's young, and he's a first-round talent, so there is all that too. But last year in 44 games played, 4 goals, 14 assists for 18 points. Nothing too crazy. Even in the WHL, he had some more. He had 42 games played, 7 goals, 33 assists for 40 points. So he's essentially a point per game. The OHL, or the WHL, sorry. And then so far this year, in 5 games played for the Montreal Canadiens, Goloubef has 0 goals, but he does have 3 assists. So same thing. Big body defenseman, plays for Montreal. He's young. He's got the hype, right? This is kind of the same thing as Romanov back in the day. Just anybody. Montreal's looking for young superstars, right? So if you show any promise or you're a first-round pick, anything like that, there's going to be hobby hype behind you. That's just the way it works at the end of the day. Our first undrafted guy of this whole list, it is number 142, Andrei Kuzmenko for the Vancouver Canucks. The left winger is 27 years old. He is old, but he went undrafted and then was in Russia for many, many years playing in the KHL. 5'11", 81 games played last year though. 39 goals, 35 assists, 474 points. That's not typically how he was before he came over to the NHL. So far this year, 8 games played, 2 goals, 4 assists. I have it here that he was kind of more of a setup guy before he came over. You know, wasn't that crazy. Not a more goals than assists for sure. But maybe this is the role that kind of works better for him. In Vancouver with Elias Pettersson and Garland and Besser and all these guys over there. Maybe he'll just sneak right in there. Like I said, he is a little bit older. He's even older than Kaprizov, and Kaprizov came over. So just keep that in mind once again with a lot of stuff like you're buying or investing or whatever. If you want to just PC him, fine. But just with all these guys, like 27 years old, it's not a spring chicken to be doing to start his NHL career. So for long term, it's a little harder. Other end, 27. Now to the one of the youngest guys on this list, number 143, Dylan Gunther for the Arizona Coyotes. The right winger is 20 years old, 2021 9th overall pick, 6'2", 175 pounds, out of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. WHL, before he came over, he had 59 games played, 45 goals, and 46 assists for 91 points. Playoffs that year for them, 20 games played, 13 goals, 16 assists for 29 points. So he knew how to put up some points in the WHL. Last year for the Coyotes, 33 games played. He had 6 goals, 9 assists for 15 points. So half a point per game for the young man. getting his 19 at the time, right? Just a young kid on not a great Arizona Coyotes team. It was what it was. This year starts off in the AHL. Not what I thought. I thought he'd make the team. You got Logan Cooley there. I thought maybe they'd go all in on this young, fresh team. What do I know? They just beat the Blackhawks 8-1 tonight. But so far in the AHL this year, 6 games played, 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points. So he's essentially a point per game so far in the AHL. Put together some of that, get his game a little more rounded to the kind of professional level, right? Maybe they felt he needed some more work on the defensive side, that two-way game, all that other stuff, right? Like it's different playing the WHL against 16, 17, 18-year-olds. You go to the AHL and learn to play against some 24-year-olds, 25-year-olds, and then kind of get your full-time spot over in the NHL. 9th overall pick. Like I said, I think the kid has all kinds of talent, but we'll kind of see how that goes. Defenseman Jake Sanderson. The kid's already got a monster deal. One of the biggest deals, I think, out of anybody on this list. Jake Sanderson, the Senators D-man, left shooting D-man's 21 years old, 2020 5th overall pick, 6'2", out of Montana, I think. Essentially a point per game at North Dakota when he was there. With the Senators last year, 77 games played, 4 goals, 28 assists for 32 points, and only 12 penalty minutes. Once again, I talked about that with Owen Power. 12 penalty minutes for a defenseman in 77 games played. Maybe some people think he needs more toughness or whatever. I look at it as not getting caught out of position, not having to trip guys, not having to hold guys, not having to do all that stuff, right? Hook guys. It is what it is. So far this year, people are raving about this kid early on. It's actually ended up with him being getting first power play line time. Kid has in 8 games played, 3 goals, 4 assists for 7 points. Does have 4 penalty minutes. Could knock that down. You only had 12 last year, and you got 4 in 8 games played. It is what it is. But yeah, 7 points in 8 games played. Kids looked really good out there, living up to that big contract that he just signed. So see what they can kind of do going forward. But yeah, he kind of took over that first line power play minutes from Shabbat. So Wyatt Johnson is the next one at 146 on the checklist for the Dallas Stars. The center, 20 years old, 2021 23rd overall pick, 6'2" out of Toronto. 2021-22 in the OHL. 68 games played. 46 goals. 78 assists for 124 points. That's Connor Garland numbers when he was playing in the Q, by the way. So last year in the NHL, 82 games played, 24 goals, 17 assists for 41 points. That is literally half a point per game. And the playoffs did fall off. 19 games played for those Dallas Stars that made a bit of a run. 4 goals, 2 assists. So it kind of fell off. Once again, young guys hard in the playoffs, right? It's a different type of game there. Less room. It's more clutch and grabbing. It's more, it's harder hockey. Guys are bringing their A game every shift. So it just makes it a little more difficult. So far, though, this year, 7 games played for the Dallas Stars. 3 goals, 4 assists. Kid's looking pretty good at 20 years old. Kid's looking pretty good up there in Dallas. I don't know. That team just, they got a lot of young guys. And once those Sagan and Jamie Benn contracts come off the books, look out. I guess you'll have to start paying guys like this and whatnot too, though. But next up, another defenseman, another Kings defenseman, Brant Clark. The defenseman is 20 years old, 2021 8th overall pick, 6'2" out of Ontario. 2021 in the OHL, 55 games played, 11 goals, 48 assists. Then he went last year, OHL, 31 games played, 23 goals, 38 assists. So he's put up a ton of points in the OHL last year. And then he goes to the playoffs. 12 games played, 7 goals, 16 assists for 23 points. Essentially 2 points per game in the playoffs. AHL last year, he had 5 games played, 1 goal, 1 assist for 2 points. In the NHL, he got in 9 games. He had 2 assists, no goals. So far in the AHL, he's got 7 games played, 2 goals, 4 assists for 6 points in 7 games. Kid's looking good, obviously. Does have 10 penalty minutes. I didn't look if they're all minors, if there's a fight in there, if there's misconduct, whatever. I guess it probably wouldn't be a misconduct if it's 10 because it would have been probably a 2 and a 10 or 5 and a 10. But it just, maybe he's got to hold off on the clutching and grabbing a little bit. Brant Clark, kid's electric. He's going to be with that big club. They're good up there. The Kings are good. They got a lot of depth in a lot of spots. So they're kind of probably going to let him develop a little bit and then bring him up sometime through the season. Highest drafted guy on this list is 149 for those Montreal Canadiens I talked about earlier. The left winger out of Slovakia, Juraj Slafkovský, 19 years old. Once again, 2022 first overall pick. 2021 played in the Finnish league in Liga. 31 games played, 5 goals, 5 assists for 10 points. Playoffs that year, 18 games played, 2 goals, 5 assists. Nothing crazy. Big body though. All the hype is there about him. Everything else. He goes first overall to Montreal. They're like, hey, we know he's not going to be the best player today on this list. But in a couple of years, I think we can develop him to be it. 39 games played last year before getting shut down with injuries. 4 goals, 6 assists, but had 33 penalty minutes on top. So you get 33 penalty minutes for a forward in 39 games played. It's not the greatest. Then 10 points, they're 0.25 points per game. People would probably want a little more from a first overall pick, but that's fine. So far in this year, though, it hasn't got any better since he came back from injury. 9 games played from Montreal, 0 goals, 1 assist. People want to harp on Laffy. Jesus, look at this kid. See what Montreal does. Like I said, he's going to have hype. People are going to pay a lot of money for his cards because he's the first overall pick, because he plays for Montreal. It's just going to be what it is. He's going to be one of the chases in this, one of the big chases in this throughout. So, guy that thought he was going to go first overall. Number 150 in the checklist, and we're getting close to the end here. Shane Wright for the Seattle Kraken. Center went 4th overall. He's about to turn 20 on January 5th. So he's the very start of this year. 6 foot tall out of Burlington. Exceptional status, Shane Wright. He got the same treatment as Bedard and Johnny T and Sid and you name it. He got the same thing. Sean Day. He got the exceptional status to go and play early in the OHL. And he's got a lot of upside to him. 2021-22 in the OHL, 63 games played, had 32 goals, 62 assists for 94 points, and then put up 14 points in 11 games played in the playoffs that year. Last year, getting drafted 4th overall, there's a whole weird thing where they don't play him when his grandparents are in town, which just throw the kid on there. But they also weren't playing him any minutes. They're playing this kid like 6, 8, 10, 12 minutes a night. 8 games played last year in the NHL, 1 goal, 1 assist. AHL last year, 8 games played, 4 goals, 2 assists for 6 points. I think that was after the OHL season. OHL season last year, 20 games played, 15 goals, 22 assists for 37 points. So he's definitely too good to play in the OHL now. Did only have 3 points in 4 playoff games though for them. But last year in the OHL or in the AHL, once again, he put up 6 points in 8 games. Goes to the playoffs. Same thing. A lot harder to play in playoffs. 24 games played. They went for a deep run. I can't remember if Coachella won or not. I followed that pretty heavy. Anyways, in 24 games played, 2 goals, 7 assists for 9 points. Cole Lind was putting up a bunch of points in there. Another guy. In the AHL, though, they did get exceptional stats for him because he's so young. He's not supposed to be able to play, go right to the AHL. He's supposed to stay in juniors. They got exceptional stats again for him because he had so many years already played in the OHL. So he got to go to the AHL this year in 5 games played so far. In the AHL, he has 5 games. He has 3 goals, 1 assist for 4 points. So getting some confidence, scoring some goals, right? He's been more of a facilitator a lot of his career. But once again, 4th overall pick. Kid has a lot of upside. Might not have the speed that you want at the next level. I don't know. Maybe he'll put it together. But like I said, top round pick, everything else, 4th overall. He's there. Next up, 151, David Urich. Urich for the Columbus Blue Jackets, the defenseman. 19 years old, turns 20 on November 28th. 2022 6th overall pick. A lot of guys from that draft here. 6'4" Czech defenseman. AHL last year, 55 games played, 6 goals, 32 assists for 38 points, 36 penalty minutes. So a lot of penalty minutes from there. NHL, he had 4 games played and 0 points. This year, NHL, 8 games played, 1 goal, 1 assist, 6 penalty minutes. So he's got 3 penalties in 8 games. Once again, not judging the kid, just maybe a little clutchy grabby. He is, once again, 19 years old. Can't blame this kid. Big thing, though, he played with in the Czech League before he came over and started playing the AHL and the NHL and all that stuff. Was never a big point guy. Once again, top round talent, 6th overall, everything else, but not a big point guy. Kind of the same, Owen Power wasn't a big goal guy. At least he got some assists. Urich just wasn't really a point guy in general. So maybe that changes with development and stuff. Played with Zach Werenski and other guys like that. Provorov, you go on and on and on. But as of right now, not a big point guy so far in his career in kind of most areas. Like I said, HL put up a lot of points, but like I said, was that just an outlier? Was it just development? Who knows? Another defenseman, this guy just out there chucking knocks, which might give him a little more value. 154, Arbour Jacky Wi-Fi for the Montreal Canadiens. 22 years old, undrafted, 6'4" out of Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. OHL, 51 games played, 12 goals, 22 assists. So he's got 34 points. 138 penalty minutes. This kid is out there chucking bombs. Playoffs, 18 games played, 6 goals, 10 assists. So, played pretty well in those playoffs. Last year, 51 games played in the NHL. 5 goals, 8 assists for 13 points. Okay. Not where we care about him, though. Boy had 101 penalty minutes. Once again, just out there throwing bombs. Kind of bringing that toughness to the Montreal Canadiens. This year, in 9 games, no goals yet, does have 2 assists, and has 34 penalty minutes, including a little dust up with Ryan Reeves. They don't see each other until I think it's February or March or something like that. They don't see each other again. Wild to think that Montreal, Toronto saw each other one of the first few games of the year. Don't see each other again until second half of the year. Just wild to think. Get ready. There's going to be a fight pretty early on, I would say, between Wi-Fi and Revo in that one. So 2 left. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't yet, hit the like, hit the subscribe. This is really longer than I expected it to be. But once again, just trying to talk about all these guys and give you guys a little bit more insight into kind of where they've been, how they've been doing, all that other stuff. Juuso Parssinen for the Nashville Predators. The center is 22 years old. He's a 2019 7th round pick. 210th overall, 6'3" out of Finland. Liga guy, known more as an assist guy there. Last 2 seasons, he had put up 96 games, 17 goals, 57 assists for 74 points. AHL last year, he had 10 games played, 2 goals, 7 assists for 9 points. Again, following along with this more of an assist guy type of thing. NHL, he had 45 games played last year, 6 goals, 19 assists for 25 points. Over that half game guy. It's going to not scoring a ton of goals. Is not really his MO really ever. So just keep that in mind. Usually goal scorers are what kind of drive up prices. That's kind of the way I look at it. Or even just putting up decent amount of goals, right? You got to put up 20, 30, 40 goals to really start making an impact on your prices typically. NHL so far this year, in 8 games played, he's got 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points. Maybe he's turning around. Maybe he's decided, I've been passing around everybody. I just got to start shooting the puck. I'll get more goals than I will assists. So far, it's working out for him. And that's number 172 in the checklist. And 197 in the checklist. There's a big gap. There's not a whole lot of good guys between 172 and 197. But it is Kirill Marchenko, the Columbus Blue Jackets right winger. He's 23 years old. It was 2018 49 overall pick, 6'3", out of Russia. Played in the KHL from when he was drafted to now. It's the way some of this stuff works. That's the way Kirill Kaprizov worked. Same kind of thing. Stayed in the KHL last year. 39 games played, or the last year in the KHL was 39 games played, 12 goals, 8 assists for 20 points. Then he goes to the AHL. 16 games played, 8 goals, 11 assists, 19 points. Okay. So you're like, okay, he's maybe 1 for 1, He's pretty even, goals and assists, goes back and forth, whatever. 59 games played last year for Columbus Blue Jackets. 21 goals, 4 assists. Kid did not know how to pass the puck. Maybe nobody just could bury a puck. But 21 goals. I think at one point he had like 15 goals or something like that and like no assists. But what's minus 23 is the only other thing. So far this year, not shooting the puck apparently. 7 games played, 0 goals, 3 assists. That's the list. So once again, thank you guys for watching. I know it's a long watch. We're probably like 45 minutes into this. We're getting close to it. Like I said, I know for myself, I hadn't looked into a lot of these guys going into this year. I've looked into some of these guys that I like, but some guys you don't realize. Sometimes you don't. It just gives you. I thought it'd be a nice little refresher to kind of know where these guys came from and what they're kind of used to, or were they a points guy? You hear draft status or big names, and some of us, some people don't watch any games of these people. They don't know who these people are. They just know that I have a young gun that is worth $25. And that's all I know is this guy's worth $25. And you have no idea why. And some people just buy some of those $25 young guns without ever looking to say like, oh, has this kid ever put up points? Has he ever done anything? Should I expect like him to jump up in price for some reason? Is he undervalued? Is he overvalued? Am I if I get that young gun, do I want to hold it or grade it? Or maybe I just want to like sell it on the hype? Kind of hopefully give you guys a little bit more insight with this. Like I said, I did it with Series 1, and obviously that's a brand new class, so it's a totally new guys that we haven't pulled any cards for. But I thought, I'd do it the same thing for this one. SPA, right behind Flagship with Series 1, 2, and 3, which feels like those came out a long time ago for this stuff. SPA is the other big one, right? I bought a Premier patch auto gold at a 65 of a guy tonight for I think less than what his Future Watch auto went for. So, Future Watch autos hold a ton of value in this hobby, even though they're numbered out at $9.99. There's a couple of new configurations, more retros this year, I feel like. But like I said, a lot of these guys, some up, some down, some are, over exceeding. There's a lot of guys struggling in their kind of sophomore seasons. So it's kind of good thing to kind of keep an eye on. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. Like I said, if you guys haven't yet, hit the like, hit the subscribe. I will have a video, first look video for SPA. First thing, Wednesday morning, November 1st. I will have that ready for you guys. Once again, shop opens at 10 a.m. I will be there for 10 a.m. I got to come home, open it, record it, edit it real quick, and then put it up. It's probably up by 11:30 or so. Just to kind of keep in mind, that's Atlantic time, so it's like 10:30 Eastern. So like I said, if you guys want, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, all that other stuff to see when I post another video. And for Eric from the bench, talk to you guys later. Bye, guys.